So, good afternoon again. I'm Stephen Harper, the Executive Director of Military Racquetball Federation. We want to welcome you to the actual court. What we want to talk about today is the fundamental dimensions of a racquetball court. When you walk in, we want you to appreciate what you're looking at as far as what do these lines mean, why is it so high, and things of that nature. So the dimensions of a racquetball court are 40 feet long, 20 feet wide, 20 feet tall. We know that when we walk onto a racquetball court, we see certain things and certain lines on the court, and we want you to understand what you're looking at. So this box here that we have, we call this the service box area, to where this is the front part of the service box, and this is the back portion of the service box. To start the rally or to start the game, you have to be in the service box to be able to begin the beginning of the game. These certain lines have a meaning. This line here is a zone, here and here, and we call this the drive zone. So my assistant is going to come up in a minute, and we're going to talk about what this drive zone means. But this area here is a drive zone area. In other words, if I'm serving the ball, my racket can't come in this zone to when I'm serving. The reason why, which you'll see in a minute, it's going to blind my opponent to where he can't get or she can't get a fair advantage to see the ball. These boxes here is where I want to stand. Tracy, would you mind coming on up, please? When he's serving the ball, if we're playing doubles, we want to make sure that we stand, and Tracy's serving the ball, so he's going to act as though he's serving the ball. If he's serving, I have to stand in this box area here. My foot can't come outside this box on either side during his serve, and my back has to stay up against the wall. Tracy, would you go in the receiving ball area? Thank you. Let's talk about the serve just for a moment since we're in the service box area. When I'm serving the ball and I'm winding up, my feet have to stay on the service box line. After I'm going through my serve, my feet or my foot has to remain on the line or in the service box area. When I'm taking that serve, 1, 2, and my foot crosses this line, that means it's called a foot fault. I have 2 chances to put the ball in play, or I have 2 attempts to serve the ball to my opponent. Again, this is the service box area. This is our receiving area or our safety area. Tracy, come on up to the we're going to illustrate the zone. So if I'm serving the ball, my opponent, Tracy, can't let his racket or his body cross that zone until the ball is in flight, comes across that zone area, or after the ball bounces on the floor and comes back. Extend your racket, please. If I'm serving and I come back, if he crosses that zone area, he has the opportunity to hit me with his racket. And that's what we don't want. So that's why we have this safety zone. So when he extends, his racket or his body can't come across that zone. Go back to the receiving area. Tracy, standing on the red X there, is in the best position to receive a serve. And we call it being on the X, so he can retrieve a ball from the forehand position or the backhand position. But that X there is the best place for him to receive the serve. We call this zone here that I marked off for you, that's why it's in red and white, we call this center of the court. We want to play from this area for the majority of our rally play that we're going to do. We have 10% of the shots in the back court, that even if I'm standing in the center of the court here on this side or this side, I take 2 steps and I could probably get to that ball from that area. There are 10% of those shots back there that we just cannot retrieve, and that's okay. There are 10% of shots that are played in the forward part of the court, but 80% of our shots are going to come through this area. That's why we call this center of the court. Come on up, Tracy, to the center of court. So this is where we play the game. And you're going to see us when we actually are playing, those who are going to fight to stay in this position during the rally. Stay right there. 3 things we talk about as far as safety. The first thing is the eyewear that we use. We use the glasses that are manufactured for eyewear protection. We know that this ball is about 1.5 inches to 2 inches in diameter, and it's just great enough, wide enough, that if we get hit in the eye, it could do serious damage. Therefore, it's mandatory when you come onto the court, whether you practice or play, that you want to use eyewear. Tracy has his racket on, what we call it. Demonstrate. So he has the racket on by using his wrist tether. That means if I should swing the racket, or if he should swing the racket stays with us. The racket doesn't have the opportunity to get away from us. And then the third thing, him demonstrating the wrist tether, the third thing is when we come onto the court, we want to tap on the window or the glass to let our opponent know that we're coming onto the court. If Tracy is warming up and he wants to hit a backhand, go ahead and show a fundamental backhand, and I don't come in and announce that I'm there, when he takes his follow through, he can actually hit me with the racket. That's the reason why we want to tap on the glass to let our opponent know that we're in the court or coming onto the court. So we just covered a couple things in this section here. The dimensions of the court and the appreciation of the court on what these lines actually mean. And we also talked about the safety. We talked about the eyewear, mandatory to wear. We talked about our opponent using a wrist tether to actually keep the racket on our bodies as we're playing the game. And then the third is knocking on the window or the door to let our opponents know that we're coming onto the court.